In the middle of July, I went thrifting in Stockholm with a friend of mine, and one of the stores we hit up was Beyond Retro. Now, as far as I have understood, Beyond Retro has stores in the UK and in the Nordics. However, when I've been on the website, I can only find locations in the UK and Sweden. Sweden is part of the Nordics, but I just expected there to also be stores in other Nordic countries. However, maybe they were just hidden from me on the website for some reason. But either way, during that trip, we went into Beyond Retro, we both looked around, we tried some things on, and I found this vest. This was a tapestry vest that fit me like a frickin' glove. Rarely have I tried on a piece that has fit me this exceptionally well, and it's safe to say that I fell in love with this item. However, first of all, it was quite expensive, and as you may know, this year I'm working on lowering my cost per wear. There will be a playlist linked up here, and introducing an expensive piece into my wardrobe would make it more difficult to lower my cost per wear. However, I have introduced some other expensive items during this year. This shirt, for example, was not exactly cheap, but it's really cool with really flouncy sleeves. But even so, I was on the fence about if I wanted to get this vest or not, even though I loved the fit of it and I really like the colors of it, and I've been wanting a tapestry vest for a while. I don't think of them year round, but usually when fall winter rolls around, I get them back in my mind and go, oh, that would be a really good piece. Even though all those things were true, I decided to leave the vest in the store overnight because I was staying over in Stockholm. I asked a staff member to set it aside for me, wrote my name on a little piece of paper to be attached to the vest, and then I came back the following day. Now, between leaving this vest and coming back for it less than 24 hours later, I spent an unreasonable amount of time thinking about this vest and what I would wear it with, because I was a little bit thinking that, well, it won't really work with my really bright, colourful pieces, like my bright greens and my bright blues, for example. I don't think that would look good, so what would I wear it with? My husband, who wasn't with me at the time, got a text asking, what would I wear it with? Look at how good it is, but what would I wear it with? And he very sweetly just suggested, what about a white button down? Because that's sort of my excuse. Like, everything in my wardrobe, almost a lot of things in my wardrobe, will look really good with a white button down. So I was halfway sold that a white button down would really work. And then I started looking at the colors in the vest. There's a light purple, for example, and I thought that would look really good with this light purple skirt that I have. I thought that they would, if not be the same exact shade, they would be close enough that it would look good together. I didn't have this shirt at that point. This is a beige linen-y shirt with a big collar and poofy sleeves and a fitted silhouette, so a fitted vest on top of that wouldn't add a lot of bulk. But I did go on Pinterest and just search for like tapestry vest outfits, and these like piratey shirts or white button downs. Several different things came up, either things that I have or that I would potentially be interested in getting down the line. And like I said, I spent an unreasonable amount of time thinking about this vest between leaving it and coming back for it, and that is despite it being 32 degrees in Stockholm that day and walking 16,000 steps and just being a sweaty puddle, and thus having, you know, shade and water and other things on my mind as well. I spent so much time thinking about that vest, and when I went to bed, I knew that tomorrow morning I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna pack up my stuff, I'm gonna run one other errand that I have in the morning, and then as soon as the store opens, I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna get the vest. But I had the thought that I'd forgotten to check the materials composition, and that I wanted to do that first, and I wasn't convinced that whatever material it was going to convince me either way, really. I was so set on getting this vest, but I still wanted to know what material I was getting myself into. So I woke up, I packed up, I went to do that other errand that I had, and then I went to the store, and then I was early because they opened later than I thought they would. So I stood outside and sweated for a bit, and then they finally opened. I went in, I asked the person manning the till if I could try the vest on that I'd set aside the day before, and I brought it to the fitting rooms. Only to realize when I flipped it open to look at the materials tag that it is from Shein. And I am not willing to purchase from Shein, be that new or secondhand, based on the whole chemicals situation that I keep reading about. I have never bought from Shein, I never intend to do so, and I know there are people who are like, well, it's already in circulation, I'll buy it secondhand. You do you, but I do not want to do that. And so I stood in this fitting room, getting my heart absolutely broken over this vest. And the reason I hadn't seen that the day before, which I would have had I checked the materials tag, was because there was no label at the neck of the vest. And since this is, or tends to be, or in my eyes should be, a curated vintage store, like that's what they stock certain vintagey styles, I did not expect to find Shein. I didn't even think that was a possibility. My biggest concerns when I came back for the vest was that they would have put it back on the floor because I would have been too late. I would have, arrived after, like 10 minutes after they opened, and they would have put it back on the floor. That didn't happen. And my second concern was that it was going to be polyester and that I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about that. But I was mostly convinced that this piece is so special, it fits so well, it looks so good, I feel really confident in it, like it really did something with how I presented myself, right? So I was so convinced that even if this vest turns out to be polyester, I am still going to get it. When the vest turned out to be Shein, there was just a record scratch in my brain and I just froze, and I was like, I cannot do this. This goes against my ethics or my morals or what I have committed to doing or not doing. And it sounds quite extreme, right? To be heartbroken over a vest. And I'm not saying I was heartbroken the same way I would have been if my husband asked for a divorce or someone near me died. That's not what I'm saying, but I was just so disappointed and so sad that this vest turned out to be Shein. It has now been close to a month since that happened when I'm filming this video, and I am not quite over it, which sounds silly, but the vest was just so perfect. And I am still on the lookout for another tapestry vest. I don't know when and if I'll get one. I have searched for one on Vinted, but nothing has really come up that has tickled me the same way that I've been as interested in. And a problem is also that I tried that vest on and the fit was so good, and I don't know what measurements that vest had, but I'm not convinced really that I'll get that good of a fit from something I order online that I don't get to try on before I have it. I have also searched on eBay, which I don't tend to buy anything off of eBay, but I have found this vest, which marries my love for tapestry fabrics and books, and it's absolutely gorgeous. However, it is also ridiculously expensive, or perhaps not ridiculously expensive. This is an actual vintage piece, right? And I'd have to import it into Sweden because I think it's in the US, and they know what they have, they know its quality, it's 100% cotton, it's gorgeous, but it's a price I'm not willing to pay, at least not at the moment. It's very expensive. And so I am sort of back on square one. And I wasn't actively looking for a tapestry vest in this moment. If you have seen my thrift wish lists, I have never mentioned a tapestry vest on there. I have said that I like vests. I have several vests. I don't wear them perhaps often as I should, which also puts me off spending a lot of money on a tapestry vest. The cost of the vest that turned out to be from Shein, I could have accepted. I could have gotten on board with that. I had gotten on board with that over those 24 hours or less than 24 hours. It could have been a price that I was comfortable paying, and I do believe I could have gotten the cost per wear down quite far this year, but also hopefully beyond, but I'm doing the experiment for this year. So like I said, I'm now back at square one, and I'm not finding something I'm comfortable or fully on board with on Vinted, for example. I'm not going to import that really expensive one from the US off of eBay. And like I said, I wasn't actively looking for a tapestry vest, as in having put it on my thrift wish list, but I do always love tapestry vests. And I had two tapestry dresses back in the early 2010s that I really did enjoy until they got too small. But yeah, I do really want one of these vests. Tapestry to me is very autumnal. It's very cozy. It's very whimsy. And it reminds me of this kind of blanket that we had a couple when I grew up. My parents still have one or two of them. And I just really love this. There's something very homey about this for me. And I do still want to find one. And while we were in Stockholm, that was on the same day actually as I'd set the vest aside, so I didn't yet know that I wasn't going to get it. But my friend and I went to a second Beyond Retro that is also in Stockholm, and they hardly had any vests at all, because I partially think that they are smaller. That store is smaller a little bit, I think. It felt smaller at least, but also it's more of an autumnal piece, and it was mid-July when we were meeting up and doing this little shopping trip, so I don't think they had any in stock. I have since then also messaged the Beyond Retro that is in Uppsala, which is also not where I live, but it's somewhere I can get to relatively easy, and I messaged them and I was like, hi, I went to your sister's store in Stockholm. This was a situation that happened with the vest that turned out to be Shein. Do you have any in stock, or are you going to have that when the fall rolls around? And I did get the reply that they do have some in stock, so kind of tempted to go. That Beyond Retro is also even smaller than the second one I went to in Stockholm. There are also Beyond Retros in Gothenburg and Malmö, I believe, but that is further away from me and not somewhere I am ever. really very often. I passed through Malmö on my way to Copenhagen this summer, but not with any shopping really. I was just switching trains. But yes, I would really like to get a tapestry vest. It does for me work really well with my more historical cottagecore, that side of my style, which isn't perhaps the most obvious side to my style. I mean, this is very nice and historical and slightly cottagecore, but I would really like one, and I think it would look really good with certain pieces in my wardrobe. It is a style that I really enjoy, and sometimes, more often than sometimes even, kind of frequently, I want to lean more historical, whimsical than my style is, or than parts of my style is, if that makes sense. I'm very comfortable in my bright orange shirt and my bright blue trousers and all of that, but there is a part of me, I think perhaps especially as fall rolls around, which might be why I really like tapestry vests and think of them as a very fall thing, but there is a part of me perhaps, like I said, especially in fall, that really yearns for that style, and it could be down, even though this is a completely different era of history compared to what I think of the tapestry vest for. But every fall, and it's now August when I'm filming this, and it's not yet fall, but I've already begun, every fall since a few years back, several years back, 5 years back, maybe, something like that, I always rewatch Anne with an E. That is such a comfort show for me. It is very fall for me. I know that not all the seasons take place in the fall, but it's a very autumnal feeling show for me. And that is historical, and I really like aspects of the styling of that era, and I'm not equating that to the styling I have in mind for a tapestry vest. But again, that sort of historical, cozy, natural fibers, which again, a polyester vest, I know, I also didn't get it. But even so, like that musty, comfortable, just nice, warm, cozy feeling I want to have, I want to wear, I want to be. So to wrap this up, I would be very curious to hear in the comments down below if you have ever found the item only for it to turn out to not be the item. I made a video recently where I talked about impulsivity versus intentionality when it comes to thrifting, and in that video I talked about 3 specific dresses that I have been, you know, dreaming of, foaming at the mouth for, not quite, but 3 specific dresses that I, over the years, over some time, have managed to hunt down because I really liked them. But I now know that I won't be hunting down the exact item because the exact item is from Shein. I would still very much like one. I want one that fits me hopefully just as well as that one did. And after the fact, I have actually considered if I should have gotten the vest and then taken it apart for parts, making a pattern out of it and making a vest from a non-polyester, non-Shein tapestry fabric. I think that would have been really cool. I didn't end up doing that. I'm not sure I want to spend that money on a product from Shein, a product I'm not going to wear, and then also spend money on fabric and also spend the time to make a vest. I also don't know if I'm qualified and competent enough to make one. My sewing skills are, I think, more basic than that, and I'm very scared to do big sewing projects. That's a different thing. But I have considered if that would have been a good idea, just to get a vest that fits as well. And if I'd have done that, maybe I could have made multiple vests in different tapestry fabrics and turned my entire wardrobe into a tapestry vest wardrobe. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to hear any thoughts you have in the comments down below, and I'll be back with another video soon, so I hope to see you then. Bye!